out there? Welcome to a Word Home Media presentation of Major League A-Holes. I'm Pete.
I'm Ryan. You are in the hole with Major League A-Holes. This is our annual NostraDumbass Prediction show.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Been looking forward to this all year. We're making our stupid predictions that everyone makes that are totally fucking wrong every year. And we'll recap that at the end of the season as well to point out how dumb these are. But it's fun to talk about. Fun to see where we think things are going to go and how close or far from those realities we are at the end of the season. Before that, we've got to talk about the Cubs getting swept out of Tokyo over the last 2 mornings while everyone was asleep. I'm not sure how much anyone caught of it. We'll get through that. You've got some White Sox tidbits we'd like to get to. And
yeah, a few tidbits here and there, a couple 2-3 things.
We've got, speaking of 2-3 things, we've got multiple things to talk about with an aesthetics segment. The aesthetics this year is like just through the roof. There's so many things to talk about. Like the biggest story in baseball last week was the ridiculous new era hats that had to be pulled from shelves immediately. So that's just one of several things we're going to talk about with aesthetics this week. So, I mean, this was maybe our greatest idea, is to start this aesthetics segment, is much to your chagrin. But
Your greatest idea, I think, is the best way to say it. I mean,
you keep contributing to this. It's ours for sure.
Yeah. Well, now I guess it is ours, but it was your idea, not mine.
It was definitely my idea. It's amazing it's still going on, but I guess we might as well go ahead and jump into the news. Cubs are already 0-2 at the bottom of the A-hole standings, 1 game behind all 4 other teams who have not played yet. Did you get to listen? I know you were definitely paying attention to game 1 because you were sending me obnoxious text messages.
That's right. I'm mid-season form, everyone. I'm wired up. I'm obnoxious. I'm giving Cub taunts early. I text all my Cub friends
form.
The L flag.
You were texting multiple people.
Yes. Oh yeah. No, I'm all over it. I'm on it. I'm on it.
Good to know.
I'm trying to get you riled up for this episode, and
at like fucking 8 in the morning. Like I could deal with something a little bit better in the afternoon, but I don't think I need it first game, first thing in the morning. But
listen, you just get up, you shotgun a beer, and then you get into it.
Yeah, on a Tuesday morning.
Yeah, Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I thought it was interesting on game 1 that you had the biggest anti-Cub broadcast team you could put in there. Lifelong Sox fan and now broadcaster for the Detroit Tigers, Jason Benetti and AJ Przinsky.
They were doing the Fox call, Fox television feed. Marquee Network was also broadcasting. I didn't catch either of those. I was listening on the score. Actually, I tried to listen on the score and it kicked me off because I'm out of market, and then switch over to the MLB app. I have the advantage, at least, being in the Eastern time zone. So the game started at 6 a.m. versus everyone in Chicago is dealing with 5 a.m. But I don't get up that early anymore. So I happen to be my old man routine, famously taking a piss in the middle of the night. It usually ends up being around 6 a.m. So I actually woke up right around game time, flipped on the game, and was kind of like sleeping and listening at the same time. So there's details I missed, but I didn't miss much considering the results of both games. So I didn't catch any of the Benetti or AJ things. I saw, I got some of the highlights, and they were definitely took their opportunity to take some jabs at the Cubs, which is not hard to do. And especially with those two guys, probably the most bombastic anti-Cubs broadcasters you could ever actually have on a team together. It was actually perfect in that regard. So
I know, I thought it was I was like, wait, who's calling this? Doesn't seem right.
It wasn't Benetti on game 2 today, though. It was Adam Amin, I think, who's actually from Chicago as well. He's not nearly as one-sided. I'm not sure if he's a Cubs or a Sox fan, but still AJ was there to throw in his 2 cents. But regardless, the Cubs, I was hoping at best they would split the series and come back 500. That was not going to happen when you walk the fucking world. I think they had 21 walks over 2 games.
15.
Is that right?
15? No, 15,
okay.
15 walks.
And the Cubs struck out 21 times over 2 games.
There you
Is
go.
the stat I remember.
Yeah.
Okay, you got all the stats there. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm sleepy. um, so it's just defense was terrible. They had. Do you have the number of errors they
had
committed
2
over?
errors in the first game. The double play didn't happen. Got thrown into the.
That lost the lead the brief lead they had in the series in game 1. The failure to complete the double play that basically lost that game.
And I think to make matters worse in game 1 too is, we talked ad nauseum on here, about they should have gone out and got a third baseman. How do you, what are your thoughts of having a rookie take the reins this season, and what does that do for the team? And Shaw had a throwing error also in game 1, along with abysmal 1-for-9 performance at the plate. So, I mean, it's 2 games, but
that's the thing.
That asshole take on it right now is it looked exactly like the Cubs from last year, and to go into complete panic mode, I don't think would be would be completely out of the question, seeing as 10 of those 15 walks came from the bullpen, area they were supposed to sure up, and they did not, obviously. I mean,
well, Imanaga had at least 4. He may have had more walks, and that
he
was
had
really
4,
disappointing. That's one really disappointing, or one major different. One thing I'd say that doesn't look like last year, because Imanaga was great. Justin Steele, very mediocre today, and that was not the case last year. So starting pitching is looked mediocre, which was not the case last year. The offense, though, you're right. It looks identical, just kind of anemic, and the middle of the order was like 2 for 30 or something. I don't know if you've got that stat pulled up, but
I have one that's probably more important: 2 for 14 with runners in scoring position. You're not going to win. Not going to win any fucking games with that. Those are White Sox numbers, folks. Not. Those are Chicago White Sox numbers right there.
Yeah, Tucker finally got a hit. Ended up being a meaningless double in the 9th inning. It looked like they're going to start a rally that fizzled out, but it was good to at least he got a hit. But again, it's 2 games. It's bizarre circumstances. It's against the world champions, potentially 2-time world champions when we get to our NostraDumbass predictions. But it's not surprising, I guess. I'm just disappointed how the Cubs looked. And just to be in the hole already is frustrating, but now they can regroup. They're headed back. They've got plenty of time. The way they built this schedule, they've got plenty of time to get rid of the jet lag again and get back to Arizona. Then they start the season playing Arizona, so they don't have to make any time adjustments, or I don't know if they stay in the same. Yeah, but they can probably just stay wherever they've been staying throughout spring training and start that first series. So that part they can get reacclimated fairly quickly. So they just got to stop walking the world. That's the thing. I think the offense will pick up. We've got Nico Horner coming back as part of that.
That helped the defense too.
Yeah, absolutely, at second base. Seiya Suzuki, this is kind of a showcase for him, as he is actually from Tokyo, not just Japan. I heard Holmes and Spiegel talking about it this afternoon. It's like he's got anxiety or something. I think that stage really affected him. It was like overwhelming for him somehow, with all that pressure, being the hometown boy, maybe being overshadowed by other Japanese stars. But other examples of his anxiety is he can't catch he can't play the outfield. He can't catch a ball. He starts thinking too much, and he botches so many plays in the outfield. So there's something weird with Suzuki, and he turns it on from time to time and goes on long stretches where he looks like, a top 5 offensive player in baseball. But it's just, you can tell there's something mental going on with him, and I guess this scenario would exacerbate it. I'm sure he was 0 for 9, 0 for 8 in the series. I don't know if you got that pulled up, but that's something that's certainly going to improve at some point. But I don't know. Do you have any other thoughts before we move away from this despicable series?
I mean, obviously, the asshole take on this whole thing is the Cubs are what we thought they were. It's the football quote, the Denny Screen football quote, and They don't really have a. They're going to have 83 wins again this year.
Do they look? I mean, you and I
They
talked about that before. Like
yeah,
they're projected to be
they
a 92 win team. Like I don't really
yeah.
see it.
I
Maybe a little better than last year, but
I mean, obviously they only used Justin Turner as a pinch hitter, struck
yeah,
out and got a walk. Uh, struck out. I think struck out in game one, and then got a walk in game
you got to
two.
walk
But
today. Yeah,
yeah, so because I caught the sixth, I think the sixth inning on today. But uh, this game as a whole, I get why they do it. It's just silly. It's stupid. And the real take on it is the Cubs are still in fucking spring training. No
yeah,
pitchers fully stretched out, and the Dodgers are loaded. The Dodgers didn't
yeah.
have Mookie Betts. Did we notice? No, we didn't fucking notice. They didn't have Freddie
They didn't have Freddie
Freeman.
Freeman.
Did we
Yeah,
notice? No, we didn't notice. And that's a fucking
wow,
crime. That's almost like a baseball crime.
wow.
Like if
Yeah,
either one of our teams had those guys on it and they were out, it would be super noticeable.
the
But
Dodgers just will not miss a beat.
no, it's frustrating. It's annoying and frustrating from not being a Dodgers fan. But
There were
I think,
plenty of Dodgers fans in Tokyo. I can tell you they
oh my
estimated it was like
God.
95% Dodgers fans there, which makes sense with Shohei, of course,
Yeah.
who was basically a deity there. Um,
Yeah, he's such a deity. He gets a home run when it's kind of like touched by a fan and didn't
oh,
really clear
okay.
the wall.
I'm
But
glad you brought that up because I
I
wasn't
mean,
sure what your take would be on
That's a
that.
ground rule double to me.
It seemed obvious that it was fan interference and it was gonna scrape. They even called it a wall scraper. I'm like, well, that's the the definition of a not a home run.
Yeah.
And yet, we'll call it a home run, then we'll review it. Oh yeah, it's a home run. It's fucking
Yeah.
Shohei in Tokyo. Just
Sure.
give it to him. It's fine. That was bizarre.
Yeah. I've never wow. I was like, that is really like for a reviewable play that was reviewed. That is like kind of shady. Not
Yeah,
that, not
I
that it
mean,
mattered at the end, but what does it?
no,
If the Cubs lost by 1 run?
that's what I was thinking.
Because
Like,
these games count, even though it's like
yeah,
it feels like they shouldn't count, but they do. Like you said, the Cubs are starting the season off 0-2, and for them to go ahead and treat it like it's an exhibition game to give Otani a home run and get the crowd jacked up
yeah.
and do it for media reasons, for publicity, it it's ridiculous. It's sad, actually.
Maybe we talked about this last show, but do you think there would be fewer people in the crowd or less fervor if these were exhibition games? Do you think Japan would be like, they're not real games, so
No,
why would we bother?
I
They
don't
had
think so.
10,000 people show up to practices
Yes.
before this series started. Why these just should not be regular season games. It makes no sense. It's terrible for everyone involved except for the Dodgers, which they don't need any more advantages than they already have. So do this. I think they should go to Japan every year. Send a couple teams. It's probably got to be the Dodgers every year, just because they have all the Japanese stars. Maybe it's the Cubs Dodgers because we've got plenty too, and the Cubs are very interested in tapping into the Japanese market as uh, both in revenue terms, but also the player pool. That is a stated goal of Jed Hoyer is to take advantage of that market. See if they can mine Japanese talent and place that in the roster. So, but don't make it a fucking real game. Like it's just ridiculous. So hopefully this doesn't cost them, more issues down the road, like jet lag shit. They experience severe effects after the London games. Was that last year or 2 years ago?
Yeah, it was
Um,
last year, like in the middle of the season, right?
yeah, they went into a slump. Yeah, because they don't have
Yeah.
time to come back, and the jet lag is less severe going to England versus Japan, but they definitely went into a slump after that, and that shit's crazy. But at least this time they've built in enough time for them to get back and reacclimate. I don't think no one's going to use it as an excuse. At least I pledge to not use it as an excuse as they do start in Arizona in like I think it's 9 or 10 days. So they should be fine by then. So I don't know. I just think the simple solution is yes, keep this for marketing purposes. Maybe shift it around to different teams so it's not the same franchises affected every time, but then make it a fucking exhibition series. Ridiculous.
Yeah, and even if it let's just say it remains it's probably gonna remain obviously it counts kind of like
Yeah,
the
because the cat's out of
kind
the
of like
bag. You're right.
yeah kind of like the All-Star game, but at one point, but um, what happens if you did? Why not just push it back and just like to the start of the end of spring training? So there's like say there's 4 games left in spring training. 2 of the last 4 are played in Japan, and then the team just comes back, reacclimates for a couple days, and whoever played in that game gets to stay on the West Coast.
I think you need more than a couple days. I think that's what they learned from doing this years ago. That's what they tried before, and it fucked everybody up. So they wanted to build in at least a week, just so that you couldn't say that there's any issues. I think if anything, why not start spring training in Japan? Just have those 2 teams start their routines. Get there. The week when pitchers and catchers report, or maybe later than that, but then play your first couple of spring training games. I guess you wouldn't. Then you'd lose the time there and the time back. You wouldn't play as many spring training games as everybody else. But
Yeah,
do we need a full? Do we need a full month of spring training games anyway? Like it seems kind of ridiculous. I guess you need time stretching starting pitchers out. I guess is the main issue, but it seems like there's better ways to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've always found this series annoying. For some reason I found it less annoying this year. I don't know why.
Yeah, because the Cubs lost both games and you got to celebrate and taunt all your Cubs fan friends.
Maybe that's why we flew the L for 2 days. Flew the L.
I didn't get that one today. Thank you.
I didn't send one today. I didn't want you guys all in the fetal position in the corner shaking, so just left it alone. Okay. Yeah. So I think that's enough. That.
Enough with the Cubs. Jesus, we're 0-2. We'll get over it.
Yeah.
Let's move on to your Chicago White Sox, which keep getting into the news somehow.
Speaking of 0-2, they're 0-7 and they haven't even had a first pitch yet in the real season. There's a few tidbits I wanted to cover very quickly. For those of you who are regular listeners, you may remember I was in a bit of a panic on the last show because there was no news of what was going on with Justin Ishbia and Ishbia,
I remember.
Sorry. And did they accept his bid and whatnot? And not but less than 24 hours later, I get a text from Smitty as an article broke that mostly everyone had accepted his offer. Since then, there's been one other article published that said the offers were accepted. The part I did find interesting was the people who didn't accept their offers look like their shares were getting dissolved, according to that article. So that means he would probably have full controlling interests of.
Okay, I read that differently. I read that they were not. I think the term is diluted. Like
diluted. That's what I mean. Yeah.
And I read it the opposite. I thought they said they were not getting diluted.
They're not getting diluted. Okay, sorry. I misread that.
So they're holding on to it just because they think the franchise value is going to continue to grow. But I think
to grow.
Well, it's been growing. That's the craziest thing about baseball. As bad as the White Sox are, their franchise value is still increasing all the time. So I think it does point to that Ishbia is going to have a controlling interest sooner than later. And you said it was up to Major League Baseball approval at this point? Or
yeah. And there's no timetable for that. They just have to sign off on it. I don't see them not signing off on it. There's no reason not to.
Yeah, the whole timetable seems confusing. I think it just comes down to whenever Jerry actually passes is when the trigger gets pulled. But that's a theory, I guess.
I don't see what would take any time for them, though, to sign off on him having minority control of the organization. Like
that sounds like an oxymoron. How do you have minority control? Like,
so there's so the shares that he bought into were the shares of the minority owners who are not on the board. So he would control that.
Oh my God.
Basically almost like that entire, whatever it is, probably 40%, 40% or 49%. And my guess is it's like probably 49% and 51% is controlled by the board, the board of death of God's waiting room board.
And then upon Jerry's death, the Reinsdorf family would sell the rest to Ishbia, and then he would have majority.
Exactly.
I'm putting the pieces together. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it now.
There's like a fucking Succession fucking episode.
Yeah, Succession. That was the graphic.
Succession, exactly. But so he'll have most likely 49 or whoever is hanging out, like maybe 47% control of the White Sox. So I just hope, even being control of the minority share group, that he does get a seat on that board. But we'll see what happens.
They'll all be dead soon anyway. So
in other news, the White Sox, along with your fucking A's, are not getting any nationally televised games this year from MLB baseball. That's right. There are two clubs who they decided are not worthy of putting on national television.
I could see why.
One in a major market, which is fucking sad, and the other playing in a minor league baseball stadium. So,
yeah,
hey, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I don't think the MLB is interested in showcasing a minor league stadium. I guess the A's could be playing on the road.
On the road, right, exactly.
That in, but I could also see why 120 loss team would be not appealing for a national audience. But
I get it, man. I think
there's some logic, but
yeah, not even the Cubs Sox series could make one national broadcast. I mean, we don't care about it here very much anymore, but who knew? But yeah,
I think we do.
Yeah, not enough though. Not like we used to. Maybe this year though, as the Cubs start 0-8 or something, maybe it'll be more interesting.
Do we really care about anything the way we used to back in the day? These are troubling times. Things just seem muted.
Calm down over there.
Sorry.
Probably the biggest news broke today, which I sent to you. There is a new milkshake that looks like a birthday cake milkshake. They didn't give away the details. They just did a social media post on the gram and on Facebook and on.
I've got some information about that actually.
And on X, excuse me, I said Twitter. I apologize. You have information. Breaking news.
Well,
go Smitty.
Again, you need to listen to Holmes and Spiegel every day because they are the baseball. That's the baseball show every day on the radio in Chicago. They are baseball addicts. They were breaking down the entire new menu for the White Sox this year, and that is you're right. It is called the birthday cake shake. It is in addition to what the fuck campfire milkshake
the campfire milkshake's gonna be there too.
Oh. It is not. Yes, it is not going away. It's due to popular demand. It will be returning, and it now has a rival birthday cake shake to maybe take some of the market share away, I guess. But there was a whole litany of menu items that was the highlight for sure. The birthday cake shake and the fact that the campfire shake is coming back.
I tried to find that list pre-show, but they must have not published it yet. So
it only went to radio stations, I guess. I don't know. That's kind of fucked up.
I should be on that fucking list. Jesus. Yeah. I got the fucking food frenzy too. Jesus.
Nice.
Just to remind everyone of the difficulty of even obtaining one of these shakes.
Yeah, did you ever get one?
No. Well, part of the reason is I just didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
One, you have to go up to what used to be the Revolution tap room or whatever it was called.
Yeah, it's like the Vizzy patio now.
Now it's the Vizzy View Bar where they took all the fucking
seats. And they took out the bar stools.
Outside. They're just a bunch of fuck jobs. And you got to go and you go to the bar to order the milkshake. Then after you order the milkshake at the bar, you walk over to another line where you hand your receipt to a gentleman or lady who will then confirm your order of the milkshake. Then you got to wait again for your milkshake to be made. It's way too much fucking work, and it's like $20 fucking.
Well, and how long is the line? Because
Oh,
everybody wants the
yeah.
shake.
It is ridiculous. It is the only thing basically going on in that bar. You can walk up and get the line is not for beer or
Seltzer.
Vizzy seltzers. It's for fucking milkshakes.
Yeesh.
What a crime.
Well, now there's multiple milkshakes
Yeah.
to
Whew.
divvy up.
I'm shocked Margot didn't really push to have one of those milkshakes last year, and she did not. But
I
I'm,
can't believe we didn't have one.
I got a feeling with this birthday cake milkshake, it's not. I'm not going to escape it this upcoming season.
Non-negotiable. You
It's
gotta
gonna be
have it.
yeah. She's gonna have to go for the $20 milkshake finally. So, well, with that, that's really my quick little White Sox tidbits. I think we can use the White Sox to transition over to aesthetics.
Nice segue right there. I appreciate that. Yeah, what's going on with your White Sox in the uniform realm?
Well, I'm not really sure, but I've heard some disturbing news that they're going to take what I deem as the best City Connect jersey from the original batch and do a City Connect 2.0, which had do you remember what that date was? There is like a reveal day weekend, right? It was on their promo.
Yeah. I
Is it
saw it in a
June or
like
July, right?
they were promoting their promotions, and it kind of felt like it wasn't an announcement. It just sort of got leaked out that they're going to be revealing one of the tidbits on this is they're going to be revealing the City Connect 2.0 jerseys. So I don't remember the date, but yeah, I would say midsummer. But along those lines, I just saw this afternoon that Houston has revealed their City Connect 2.0 uniforms, which I didn't get a chance to send them over to you, but they look like a kind of like a 90s Houston, like an updated version of the 90s Astros uniform. So I think, the original City Connect, the first round of City Connect uniforms was like a radical, in many cases, a radical departure from the team's typical brand identity, just to make something completely different that just specifically identified with the city itself instead of necessarily the baseball franchise, to reach out to different markets, basically to get other people that aren't typically involved in baseball potentially interested, these kick-ass jerseys, to which work to some effect in some markets. But this feels like, at least with this example from Houston, this feels like a different approach to a City Connect.
Yes.
Like, are you seeing the Houston jerseys now?
I have it with all the explanations if you want to go all in.
Yeah, we don't need to do that, but you can see how it looks like an Astros. It looks like a retro Astros jersey, basically.
Yeah, it looks like the Jeff Bagwell era Astros jersey.
Yeah, but it's not. It's
like a combination of that and the original look.
So they call it's in the industry, not throwbacks. They call them faux backs, FAUX. Like, this could be a throwback uniforms, but it's not. And from what I've seen in Houston and things I've seen potentially leaked about the White Sox City Connect 2.0 uniforms, I think it's the same idea. I don't know if I sent you that picture. It's basically taking the 83 uniforms, the white, blue, and red, but making that black, gray, and white. So it'd say socks with a gray and white striped band across a black jersey. Real simple. I feel like you've done similar things with your spring training stuff, but I don't think that particular jersey, that's the theory. And I think people put that out there. And when I saw it, it's like, oh, that's probably it. And now that they've released these Astros jerseys, that kind of the same idea, I think that's probably the direction they're going. I think that'd be a cool look. But again, you had potentially the best City Connect 1.0 uniforms, the Southside, pinstripe, distressed look. It was perfect. So it's like, did you really need to do another set of and they are retiring that original 1.0 set. They're not going to be wearing those. They're going to be wearing these 2.0 in favor of those. So I don't know. Are you crestfallen to get that news, or how are White Sox fans feeling about this?
Well, I just think I understand why they're doing it. Money, 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 money. That's all it boils down to. I think it is stupid, honestly. Like, everyone embraced that jersey. That jersey next to the 83 jersey is probably the two most seen jerseys if you are at a game with, the 10,000 people who are there. I'd say if anyone who's wearing a jersey is either wearing a Southside jersey or probably like an '83 jersey, and then the current jersey, and whether it's the black one or the home
Yeah.
one. Not a lot of people wear the road jersey, but
Yeah.
I mean,
I think you're
yeah,
gonna
I don't
like
think,
this just because
yeah,
it's like
exactly.
I feel like we've seen it before, but it's like just a different version of the '83 jersey, just a black and white and gray version of it, which
Yeah,
and kind of reversed. It's actually a black jersey, but if that's it, I think you're going to be happy.
this
I
Astros
didn't.
one is sharp.
I don't think it's bad. Yeah, and I actually like the Astros Space City Connect 1.0 versions, and I think they set records selling merch. This new one they released, I think it does look pretty cool. It says Strohs on it for one thing, which I think is
Yes.
really cool. But it's kind of the cheesy star, yeah, very 90s, I guess.
The only thing I'll say is the hat looks like a Diamondbacks hat, but
I didn't see the maybe I did see the hat. It's just got the star on it,
well, the
like
good
with
news
the
is we know it comes in kid sizes because Altuve's wearing it in the picture. So everyone, kids, get yours ordered today.
So I've only seen a potentially leaked version of the Sox jersey. I have not seen anything leaked potentially about the hat. I would guess it's a black hat with, or maybe it's got the white panel in front with the black, just Sox '83 logo across the front. Maybe so.
I'm kind of
That's
excited
the
though
no. That's why we
because
do aesthetics, because this shit is exciting.
I'm not excited about the new jersey. I'm excited that the old jersey is going to get retired, and now I'm finally, after holding out, going to be able to get one for a fucking reasonable price.
Well, maybe the value will just skyrocket. It's a scarce commodity now, so you have to get it. You have to go on
Well,
eBay to get it.
I did happen to see on Fanatics. Oh, we should talk about
We got
that
to talk
real
about
quick.
that too.
Speaking,
Absolutely.
that's the fourth one that we couldn't think of pre-show.
Mm.
Um,
Thank you.
I saw on Fanatics that, and it's mostly because they're not players anymore, but I can get a Timmy Anderson, which I would still be proud to wear because
Sure.
he's still one of my favorite White Sox. Southside City Connect jersey for like $56. So,
Okay. I think you should pull
so
the trigger on
I think
that.
I'm going to pull the trigger on it, knowing that they're
I'm surprised
officially
you
getting
held out this
retired.
long.
I'm
I
not. They were
mean,
like fucking $200. I'm like, fuck
oh,
off.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fuck
that's
off.
ridiculous. Can you buy the
Um,
pants though? The black pinstripe pants. That's the key.
I might just go in dress slacks.
I had a suit. I had a suit in the early 2000s that was almost the exact same
I did
design. So
too. I did too. Too bad it doesn't fit me anymore because I was like a 40 waist back then.
oh yeah, yeah. I had mine taken
So
in a couple times.
yeah. Oh my god,
That's
that's
great.
hilarious. That'd be great to show up with that jersey on and pinstripe dress slack bottoms. Oh yeah.
I think next Pete at the park. That's got to be the outfit. We got
That
to get
could
that
be
on
the outfit.
video.
That could be the next outfit. You have to be there though. It has to be a game you're at. So this is something we talked about, then forgot about, and now we just remembered it.
Yeah,
So
perfect.
the White Sox are hosting a grand opening. Guys may know there's a big sports store, basically all White Sox gear. But every now and then, as you get into fall, you might see it's called the Chicago Sports Depot right at the ballpark, the main gate,
Oh, is that by
parking
the
lot.
parking lot?
Yeah, parking lot
Yeah,
A
just to the
and
north.
yeah, parking lot A and B, and right over there, the red lot. And it was always called Chicago Sports Depot. So, like I said, in the fall, you might get some Bears or Hawks or Bull stuff in there. But what has happened, as I would, I'm venturing to say at some point, they've got to be examined for pretty much a monopoly at this point. But Fanatics has now taken over the store, and it's called the Chicago White Sox Team Store.
Yeah, see, the way I read it is they took over all of your retail merchandise. Like it's not just that store. It's the website, which already was, but all the little gift shops within the stadium are going to be Fanatics. Like they're selling it as the benefit was like top to bottom. Every piece of White Sox merchandise you can buy is going to be Fanatics. And I also read that as like, how is that a benefit necessarily?
Right. Right. I was talking about it with Robin, and I'm concerned that, like, I don't have it on today, but I've got that like 35th and Shields hat, which was specific to the ballpark. It wasn't made by Fanatics. They did it locally.
Right. Well,
Like,
and
is
that's a
that,
super cool brand that's
yeah,
like their own thing that they partnered with the White Sox. But that shit is so cool. If that does that mean that shit's going away? Like,
exactly. And I know Fanatics
ugh,
has every major sports contract.
that's the other problem. Yeah, this was kind of confusing to me because I thought they already had the White Sox. Like, I mean, they have everything. So this means they're also taking over everything in the park,
Yes.
potentially in pushing out cool indie brands like 35th and Shields. Like that seems that seems awful. Like what the
Yeah.
fuck?
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if this is going to be the trend across Major League Baseball too, because of how they've
Yeah.
really got their fingers. Like, I just remember one day, it felt like you woke up and there was this Fanatics website. And then you realized when you went to the NFL website, you were just on the Fanatics website. Then you went to
Yep.
the
Yep.
MLB shop site, you were just on the Fanatics site. And you're like, what the fuck is going on?
They took over everything.
They took over everything. So,
And it feels like quality has definitely decreased over the years. I don't know if you've noticed the same thing, but every t-shirt I buy progressively gets thinner. Like the material they're using feels thinner and thinner, which some people are into that. I mean, us old fat guys like the thick t-shirt. It hides the rolls a little bit better.
we like the beefy
So
tee.
yeah, the beefy tee, that's the best. But I don't know if you've experienced the same thing, but I feel like every time I buy something new from any sports team, it does not have the same quality I used to enjoy.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's quality has gone down. One God damn it, their name just escaped me, but they actually have very nice quality shirts, but they're expensive. It's like something 49 or something like that. They do a
Oh,
lot of
47 brand.
yeah, 47 brand, that's it. Their stuff is really good. Their t-shirts are nice. They're high quality, but you
Yeah,
spend
it's well
like
designed.
but it's like $60 for a fucking
Yeah,
t-shirt.
that's the other problem.
So it's like, guess you get what you pay for.
Well, the other reason we know about Fanatics is they were part of the debacle of last year's uniforms that had included see-through pants, rip-away pants, uh, cheap knockoff-looking jerseys with tiny names on the back.
Oh
You know,
God,
it went back
yeah.
and forth. It went back and forth whether that was Nike's fault or Fanatics' fault or Rob Manfred's fault, for all I know. But uh, it just you hear, you hear the name Fanatics, and I'm their brand is just not a respected one, at least in my mind. So it just sucks. With your specific example, like I guess who gives a fuck, who's selling the merchandise? But if it's pushing out independent designers like 35th and Shields and other cool opportunities, that's the big problem with it. That everyone's going to lose out on.
Exactly. Speaking of new
Well,
era, Smitty.
oh my goodness. New era caps cannot get out of their own way. We did the whole segment, was it last show or 2 shows ago, where they screwed up the Giants spring training hats by putting the Cactus League or putting the
No, no,
Grapefruit League logo
yep.
on the Cactus League team. They had another issue with like a St. Patty's Day hat. I think they put a 4-leaf clover on instead of, I forget what
Yeah,
it was.
yeah. It was 4 instead of 3. I mean,
Those are
again,
pretty minor
yeah.
errors in comparison to what they did last week. Basically the biggest story in Major League Baseball last week was the new era overlap caps that were released, where they were overlapping the team's word mark, basically the jersey lettering, with the team's typical hat logo, and they just let the cards fall where they may. Whatever it looked like, whatever it spelled, nobody cared within their quality control departments. Just drop drop the word mark in the background and put the hat logo on top, and we'll see what happens. And what happened was the fucking funniest things you could imagine. Not just one, but three different hats had to be pulled off of shelves due to vulgarity. Basically unanticipated and unnoticed vulgarity that nobody found out about until they were released to the public. I'll start from. I'll build up in a crescendo to the
Oh, I
most
like this.
egregious,
Okay,
but
good.
I'll start with the
Angels?
Astros
Oh,
version.
Astros.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, yeah, the Astros. So it says Astros in the back, and then their H logo goes across that in the center. So actually, if you look at it, it says Asshos, which seems very close to our own podcast name, the
Yeah.
Assholes. That had to be pulled from shelves. In addition to the Los Angeles Angels, where it said Angels and a big A went over the center of that, and it basically spelled anals.
I think that's maybe my favorite one because it just said anals on it. I mean,
It's
it's
so
like
good. I mean, it's like
we're not pulling any punches. They're so bad. They spent so much money and had so little return. They are now the LA Anals.
Anals. uh, and the fact that these are like so sexually oriented and like just unbelievably vulgar, like it almost like couldn't have been a mistake. But it was clearly so. But to take the cake was the Texas Rangers, who spelled out Texas in the word mark behind, and then the big T in the center, which literally just spells tetas, which just so happens to be Spanish slang for tits. And it was just so it became like a bestseller, especially after they had to pull them off the market. On eBay, I think the Tetas hats were going for $1,000 because everybody wants them. They almost like should have kept them on shelves because they would sell a shitload of these. Because I would totally, if I was in those markets, I would totally buy all three of those. Just hilarious. I don't know what they've lost on that. From as a professional graphic designer for the last 25 years, I can say it was beyond the quality control and not realizing what they were doing. It's a terrible design.
Oh, it's awful.
Just the idea of just dropping whatever it happens to be the word mark underneath the hat logo with it's just clunky. It's busy. It's incoherent. So it's a bad idea to start out with, but then to not notice that this Frankenstein creation they had came up with three very vulgar scenarios that they didn't anticipate or notice is hilarious. So
somebody's had
wow.
to lose their job over there at this point.
I mean, with those two examples from the previous week you brought up, and on top of this, yeah, there's something going on there where people. I mean, is this just artificial intelligence designing? Like, are they just letting the computers take over and just sending it out to the public? Like,
oh
feels like
no,
there's no thought behind any of this. Like,
it's all
what is happening?
Skynet.
Yeah, Skynet. These are definitely Skynet hats.
You know what would have been the topper? So we got the back covered with asshos and anals, right? And then we got female front covered with tetas.
We got it all, yeah.
Now if they took the socks and put the C over the S and were cocks,
yeah,
it could have had cocks.
Maybe they noticed that before they pulled that one out. That was the one they picked up on, and they pulled it before it got to the public. But I don't. I can't pull anything past them. I'll work on that graphic for you though, if you want to see it.
the City Connect. Maybe that's the City Connect hat. It's cocks.
2.0. We are the cocks.
We are the cocks.
That's great. Well, the final part of this jam-packed aesthetics segment will be my Nokeland A's uniforms. They are, of course, not in Oakland anymore. They don't want to acknowledge that they're in Sacramento. More specifically, West Sacramento. They all their uniforms this year are just going to say Athletics or A's. That is their official name, and they pulled any city affiliation from their websites. And I work for the Lansing Lugnuts, who are their high A affiliate, and I was instructed back in November to remove any mention of Oakland or any other city involved with the A's from the website. So ironically enough, I guess, they announced a partnership last week with Las Vegas. Was the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority. You've seen this logo. It's the same idea where all teams are getting advertisements on their sleeve as a sleeve patch. Well, the A's partnered with Las Vegas and have the famous Las Vegas script logo now on their sleeve. Did you recognize that logo? I recognize it because I'm a
Right
designer. But
away, I laughed. I said, Are you fucking kidding me? You have the Las Vegas tourism logo. Now, granted, I'll give, in a way, it's like,
it's perfect
recognizable.
business.
It's recognizable. It's the most recognizable Las Vegas logo. Next to like doing the like marquee logo that they have, like which would have been super complicated for a patch. But
yeah, no, it's a great logo, by the way. I mean, it looks like Las Vegas.
Yeah, but I just fucking laugh because it's just, to your point, I wasn't even thinking of it as sponsorship on the jersey.
Yeah.
I was thinking of it as it's our nod to that we're going to be moving to Las Vegas. So that's actually why
it's kind of brilliant.
It is.
Yeah. It's like diabolically brilliant. Like it's like sliding advertisements underneath the radar, and you're subliminal. Like you're just so used to seeing that logo. That partnership is so obvious, and I mean it's just self-evident. Like they should be partners. They are moving. Part of their marketing campaign is they're in Sacramento only for these 3 years to eventually land in Las Vegas. And what better way to announce that partnership is removing any other mention of any other city for the next 3 years, and then giving advertising rights to the city of Las Vegas. So it's an insidious form of advertising in that you kind of feel like you're getting tricked, but it's perfect. It's like it's great branding. It makes perfect sense. They're partnering together, and now it does. They're literally, their jerseys all say Las Vegas Athletics on it, whether it didn't really go the way you thought it would, but they're getting a 3-year head start on it. And from a design, and you and I both have backgrounds in marketing, it's actually fucking brilliant what they did, but it's just kind of crass and kind of gross at the same time.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like the whole time I'm just like, well, why would they? I would have thought they would have come up with like a different logo to talk about Las Vegas. And then to your point, I'm reading and I'm like, oh, it's actually a fucking sponsorship on the jersey. You dirty motherfuckers.
Sons of bitches, they got me.
They got me. It's probably the best of any advertisement on a jersey because it's the one that makes legitimately the most sense.
Yeah, it really does. The rest of them are kind of obnoxious, or to varying degrees, just kind of, most make no sense. We've talked about it with the Tigers. They at least got their sponsor Meyer to change their colors to match the Tigers, so it's less egregious. But like Cleveland has the Marathon gas station logo, which just looks ridiculous. Houston has a terrible sponsor on their sleeve. I forget who it is, but it looks awful. But yeah, this Las Vegas patch on an A's jersey actually looks perfect. And it pisses me off how good it looks, actually.
Yeah, Houston's is funny, isn't it? Like, it's not mess.
It's a weird color. I don't know what it is.
It's
oftentimes these sponsors aren't like well-known brands either, which just seems kind of cheap. I mean, it's not like McDonald's is sponsoring someone.
Oh yeah, it's Oxy. It's fucking Oxy's on. That's the name of the company, but they're like a finance company or something. But their jersey says fucking Oxy on it.
Yeah. That's great.
Let's get high.
I was less offended by that than the color scheme they use, but I guess that speaks to my mentality about this. But well, I think, is that finally wrap up this aesthetic segment? Well, this is like the longest
we could probably
we've ever had.
With what's fucking going on, we could probably go on, but
yeah, well,
I think it's time to get to the best show of the year, the best portion of the show.
I gotta pull a curveball here and take a break, if you don't mind, before we get to all our NostraDumbass predictions, if you're cool with that.
I am cool with it because I did not expect us to be going this long going into
yeah
Nostradamus, but that's a good idea. Maybe I'll follow your lead and head down to the restroom and come
Yeah, that's
back.
a good idea. Yeah, this aesthetics. All your aesthetics ideas are just pushing this too far. We gotta take a fucking
Okay.
break now.
Okay, fine.
Jesus.
Fine. I'm going to come clean. I actually like aesthetics. Okay.
We're starting the new season on the right note. We can get rid of that bit where you hate aesthetics. It's obvious you don't. You've embraced it for years now. You love it. So,
I actually,
yep.
after the City Connect jerseys, I really enjoyed it last year because of
Yeah.
how much fun we had with the explanation. So on that note, next episode, we will go through the Astros jersey in detail
Yeah, nice.
just to have fun.
You're demanding it. You're
I'm
demanding your own
demanding it.
aesthetic segment. I'll just set out and let you do it. So that's awesome.
All
All
right.
right.
Well,
We will return shortly here on the Word Hole Media Network. All right. We are back after an extended delay.
I just
We are
want to let
back with,
Sorry,
go
I
ahead.
want to interrupt you here. I want to let
We're
everyone
kind of
know
back.
I'm drinking Revolution Brewing Cafe Death. It's one of their bourbon barrel aged beers, and it's 12.1%. So
That's a lot.
my predictions towards the end of this Nostradamus segment may be a little off the mark.
Well, I just grabbed my second beer, a Surly Furious IPA, so I might be at your level by the end of this too. So we are going to commence with our 2025 Nostradamus predictions. We're going to go
Yeah.
predict division winners, predict the 3 wild cards in each league, World Series winner, and then our Cy Young, MVP, and Rookies of the Year. And as every year, we will go back at the end of the season and take a look and see how far off we are, which is typically amazingly way off. It seems like we should know what's going to happen, or at least have some inkling, but we always look foolish by the end of this. So it's just fun to do. Everybody does it because it's fun. And for some reason, people like to listen to it as well. So I think we go around the country, start in the East Coast, maybe do American League East and National League East, and then just continue across. Do you want to do it that way?
I can do it that way, man. I got all my notes here.
All right. I'm going to start with the American League East.
Okay.
Which is potentially one of the best divisions in baseball. It's always, it's the darling of all media, the East Coast bias. We get more national matchups than anything else in the AL East. I would, we had the Yankees in the World Series last year. I think I would have picked them if they had not lost Garrett Cole was it last week where he announced he's having Tommy John surgery and is potentially out for 2 years, the way the calendar falls. So it's just a brutal injury. Beyond that, Giancarlo Stanton is out again, which I guess shouldn't be too surprised of.
Giancarlo.
And Luis Gil, I believe it's pronounced. He's out for 6 to 8 weeks, definitely into the season. So just losing Cole is just a brutal moment for the Yankees. So for that reason alone, I'm not picking them to win the division. I feel like, the Rays are always in the mix, but it'd be so crazy if they actually won this division.
They will not.
I feel like the Blue Jays are just not quite there. They've had this young core of offensive potential for a long time. They just don't get it done.
They're like the AL East White Sox. Like they were supposed to always win the division and they're supposed to ascend to the top and they just never have.
Yeah. I think the Orioles had their shot last year and were pussies and didn't give Detroit the farm for Tarek Skubal. And I think they would have been your World Series champions potentially. That rotation would have rivaled anything the Dodgers could have put out with Corbin Burns. They didn't pull the trigger. There's the line in Breaking Bad, no half measures, and they definitely pulled a half measure and thought they could get somewhere, and they're just not. Now they've lost Corbin Burns. Their youth and offensive potential is incredible, but their rotation is just not there. So I think the team that really stepped up and has not been decimated by injuries is the Boston Red Sox, which I have not picked to win that division in quite some time, I don't think. They added Alex Bregman. They added Garrett Crochet. That's going to be I think a big story this year is Crochet with the Red Sox. they've got potentially 3 of the top prospects in baseball coming up this year. That's going to bolster their rotation or their roster as well. So I'm going to pick the Boston Red Sox to win the AL East.
Well, I'm going to call you a fucking asshole because I thought I was coming in with this profound pick of the Boston Red Sox. And I, too, I'm so fucking annoyed right now because this has been happening every fucking year for the last 2 years.
Yeah, it didn't used to happen, but I feel like this might be the 3rd year in a row where we've got the exact same or almost the exact same picks for division winners and potentially even wild card. I mean, rest assured, I've got some crazy wild card picks, so I think we'll be okay in that regard. And I've definitely got a crazy World Series prediction. But
yeah, I can't agree.
Don't get
with
too
you.
Pissed.
I couldn't agree with you more. You got Bregman, who they overpaid for, but at the end of the day, who fucking cares? Because none of it really matters for these rich assholes. So
exactly,
like, if the Cubs had done the same thing, I would have tipped my cap to the Cubs. Well, maybe not. I probably would have made fun of them, but no. But seriously, like, who fucking cares? He got his money. They got a guy they could use. How that's gonna? I still haven't figured out how that works out with Devers yet. I don't know if they have, but you got Bregman.
I don't think Devers figured it out.
You got Garrett Crochet. You got Walker Buehler. They added.
I forgot about Buehler.
They fucking stepped up, and then they got this fucking prospect class of that Roman Anthony and Christian Campbell and Marcelo Mayer. Like, I don't know. I think they're the sleeper hit of the AL East.
Yeah.
So
I think you're right.
I'm with you, baby.
They might be the sleeper pick of the entire American League or potentially the major leagues, but we'll get to that later on in our predictions here. But yes.
I swear to God, if we have the same World Series matchup, I am going to go through this screen and punch you in your baby nuts.
No, there's no from 250 miles away.
Yes.
I guarantee we do not have the same World Series, but I mean, if we do, that's going to be the weirdest fucking thing. We might have to cancel Nostradamus, or maybe it's just too creepy that Nostradamus knows what we're thinking. Yeah, I don't know how that works. But.
So we're 1 for 1 at the moment.
Okay, why don't you start with your NL East prediction so I can't steal that from you?
Well, I'm going all in on our favorite team to talk about on this podcast, the New York Mets. That's right. I think the Mets have finally they've assembled too good of a team to fuck it up at this point. They got a decent they've got a good manager now too. I feel like this is their year. Everything's in place. Outside of being decimated by injuries, like what's going on in the Yankees camp right now with losing 2 starting pitchers and then the sending down the person the Korean guy they signed to the minor leagues. Outside of like anything major happening to the Mets, they are going to win this division hands down.
I think you have severely underestimated the Mets' capacity to shit the bed or have horrible things happen.
But you got to remember, they came on like a fucking freight train at the end of the season, and it's very reminiscent of the Orioles. So I feel like they're gonna fucking drive that fucking train right to the top.
I think there is logic behind that pick for sure, and I would see that with they've got more resources than anyone else. They've picked up one of the best players in the world, Juan Soto. I will never underestimate their capacity to fuck things up. I think just crazy things are going to happen throughout the season, even if it looks good through the beginning of September. Something will happen along the way where they do not win this division. I'm going to give it to the Philadelphia Phillies. I probably picked last year as well. You just look at their roster, top to bottom. They're one of the best teams throughout the season last year. They just sort of petered out at the end, kind of inexplicably.
Hey,
it wasn't like a real injury situation, or it was kind of hard to explain like why they weren't firing on all cylinders by the end of the season. But I think they've just got too much talent, and I do think the rest of the division will. We've seen the Braves continue to get injured and kind of derail their hopes every year. Again, with the Mets, Mets are going to Mets somehow in one way or another. I think it's going to just open the door for the Philadelphia Phillies.
You're wrong, but that's cool.
Wait, we didn't mention every team. We got the The Nationals, I think, are going to be an interesting team, a young team that's kind of on the rise. There's no reason to mention the Marlins because they're not even functioning as a major league team at this point. They basically have one major league player, Sandy Alcantara.
Yeah.
And they're going to trade him at any moment. So they're actually in such their payroll so low right now. They're actually might get a grievance filed against them by the Players Association. There's a thing with revenue sharing. You have to make sure your payroll is 150% of what revenue sharing money you get. And I think I read someplace they get $70 million in revenue sharing money for doing nothing, for just
showing up, being a team.
So that means they have to spend at least 105 million on their payroll to stay out of the penalty box, whatever it is. And I don't think they're anywhere near it right now. I think they're below 100 million, and then they're going to trade away their only real contract, Sandy Alcantara, for I think he's got 17 million on the books. So I don't know. I mean, that's already too much discussion of the Marlins, but it's just pathetic. So there, we've got two different picks for the NL East, so we're 1-1 at this point. Should we move on to the Central?
Let's go to the Central.
Should we start with the AL Central? Why don't you go ahead and give me your pick there?
Well, I'm doing it again. I think I did it last year. I think I was a little over anxious last year, but again, I'm going to talk about end of the season surges, best record in fucking baseball
for the last 2 months.
For the last 2 months, I'm going all in again because I'm not going to miss it because I missed it. Although this could turn into my Blue Jay. This could turn into my AL East Blue Jays pick that I wrote several years because I always thought I was season early, so I'm picking them again. Same thing with the Padres.
I'm still haven't said what your pick is.
The Detroit Tigers, the Tigers.
That was the longest preamble I've ever heard to a pick.
That's right. I'm going with some, a little Detroit style pizza. Not Jets, because Jets isn't very good. But
I like Jets, but
there's
Buddies
other fucking places in Chicago that have opened up that are doing Detroit style pizza, and it's fucking legit. Now. It's fucking legit.
I grew up on that shit. Now everyone figured it out 30 years later, 40 years later.
Got that little thicker crust. You got super crunch to it, loaded with pepperoni.
It's the perfect ratio.
Delicious.
Ratio of cheese, sauce, and bread. Yes.
Fucking delicious. I'm going all in on Detroit. Detroit Rock City. Let's do it.
Well, it's not just the Cafe Death. Is that the name of the beer? It's not.
No.
Pizza talking.
This is how I normally am.
Tigers have easily the best rotation in the AL Central. I mean, when you bring
Hands
back
down.
Jack Flaherty, which is still just a magic trick that Scott Harris pulled off, trading away Jack Flaherty, getting top prospects out of the Dodgers, and still making the playoffs, and re-signing Jack Flaherty. That's just the funniest fucking thing. That's a masterclass in GM work. Add him to the best pitcher in baseball, Tarek Skubal. That's a 1-2 punch that's got playoff implications right there. I mean, how that rotation would look in a short series. You got Reese Olson, who is an emerging star. The bottom end of the rotation is even stacked. Now that Casey Mize is back, he put on like 20 pounds in the offseason.
Yeah.
Is over his injuries, hopefully. He looks amazing in spring, at least, which I know you got to take that with a grain of salt, but he looks healthy and his velocity is great. His stuff is great. Then you add the best pitching prospect in baseball, Jackson Jobe, potentially as your fifth starter. My God, that rotation is it's definitely the best in the division. It could be the best in the American League. Could be the best in baseball if they stay healthy. That's always the caveat. The bullpen has proven to be one of the best in baseball because of the way their versatility. Basically, they can almost everything they have in the bullpen is can go multiple innings if they need to. So AJ Hinch can mix and match as he wants to, as he's also a magician in the matchup realm. He maximizes the potential in every matchup he can find throughout the bullpen because they have guys in the bullpen that can pitch more than just one inning, or they can come on into a dirty inning if they need to. It's not a bunch of guys that have to have they can only pitch one inning and there has to be nobody on base when they come in. They've got versatility there, and they've added to that in the offseason. So I feel like they are the class of the division. You've seen that for the last couple of years as well. They did not win the division last year, despite both of our predictions. Somehow the Cleveland Guardians always find some black magic to find a way to be better than everyone else. And that's my only fear, that Cleveland could just do something weird. And despite losing Josh Naylor, and they still have Jose damn it.
Ramirez.
I'm blanking on his last. Ramirez, of course. And a bunch of pitchers you've never heard of that are just end up being awesome somehow. And they always have a great bullpen. So whether Terry Francona is managing them or not, even Stephen Vogt got him to the playoffs and a division title, and just barely passed the Tigers in the AL division series. So that's my only fear. That's the only caveat I would say, is if the Tigers don't win it, it would be the Guardians. Funny enough, I'm overlooking the Royals, who also made the playoffs last year.
Yeah, don't overlook the Royals, man.
I mean, we've been for years, and I've even heard it again this year. People are saying, the AL Central is one of the worst divisions in baseball. No, they're not. They had 3 fucking playoff teams last year. They might be the best division in the American League. So the only reason the division is dragged down is because you're Chicago White Sox. But
what?
Other than that, the Twins were right there down the stretch.
Fuck the Twins.
I think they're going to fade.
Well, you have no owner.
They've got ownership issues. They've got revenue issues with things being in the air with their streaming or their television partners, where they've kind of had to pull back on their salary structure. So I think the Twins are going to take a step back. But again, I'm mainly nervous about the Guardians. I mean, Bobby Witt Jr. with the Royals is always a reason to be concerned with them from going forward. It
is awesome.
Yeah.
So much fun to watch.
We're doing our fantasy draft here this Saturday, so he will definitely be a first round pick, which I can't remember the last time someone from the Royals was picked first in our fantasy league, but that's how it's going to work out. But so yeah, it's interesting. We both, again, we've now picked 2 out of 3 same division winners, and you keep going with my Tigers, but there's definite logic behind it.
I was between the Tigers and the Royals this year. My hesitation with the Royals is the Tigers, to me, are more well-rounded. And what I mean by that is the Royals have pretty freaking good pitching, like starting, and their bullpen's solid. Like not they're number 2 to the Tigers, but they're right there, right? But their back half of the lineup offensively is a fucking disaster. So, and they won a lot of games last year by like one fucking run, like 2-1, 3-2, 3-1, shit like that.
That's what the Tigers did down the stretch in that amazing run for the last 2 months. They'd get a lead, they'd barely scratch out a lead, and then they'd lock it down with a bullpen. So that is a concern for the Tigers, though, the offense, and that's kind of really reared its head in this spring training season. They're kind of they're definitely thin offensively, and injuries have already affected the team, with Parker Meadows, we brought up last week, with a nerve issue in his shoulder that we talked about at the time. It could wake up. The nerve just needs to wake up, and that could happen at any moment. It could happen right now. We mentioned that 2 weeks ago. It could have happened right back then, or it could be 2 months from now, and it finally wakes up. And it is not woken up yet. He's still shut down with no timetable for a return. He had the potential to be, I thought, and I made him my rookie of the year prediction last year. And despite a slow start last season, he was on track for that after he came back up from AAA, and it was great. Just an incredible center fielder, and his offensive production was stellar while he was healthy. But with him as a question mark in center field, that's one reservation I have about the Tigers. Matt Vierling out with a shoulder issue is even more concerning, because we know Meadows is going to come back at some point, but with a shoulder injury I feel like the shoulder is, I've talked about this before with pitchers injuries, like, elbow injuries, how to solve it. Tommy John. and it solves it 80, 90% of the time. And a lot of times they come back better than ever. Shoulder issues. Shoulder is just a hazy mystery. It is such a complicated joint because it goes in so many different directions, I guess.
Yeah.
You just don't know like what a rotator cuff can do. And Veerling out with that, I'm afraid, and no timetable to come back. I'm afraid we're not going to hear from him. So that puts third base in jeopardy, which has been the Tigers' major issue forever. It feels like since Tom Brookins in the 80s. Like who's playing third? Veerling was going to take that. That's definitely not happening. It's going to be a platoon of sorts. It was always going to be Andy Ibanez, platooning against lefties. But there's even been rumors that Javi Baez might be playing sometime at third base. That's what it's come down to.
God bless.
Yeah, he's actually looked much better this spring than he has in a long time after having hip surgery in the offseason. But nobody wants to hear that my optimism about Javi Baez because everyone in Detroit hates the guy, which just sucks. We have not been able to bear witness to his grandeur has certainly faded. Hopefully he can recapture that and hopefully he's healthy. But that's the only thing I could say with the Tigers that could derail that prediction is that the offense just does not show up and due to injuries or whatever. So I think we should move on to the NL Central now, where I'm going to make a very predictable prediction that I'm going to take my Chicago Cubs to win the division because it would be fucking stupid if they don't win this fucking division. They have more resources, more talent, they have more everything than anyone else in the division, yet they continue to fuck it up somehow. Jed Hoyer will lose his job if they do not win this division this year. I think Craig Counsell's job should be on the line if they do not win this division this year. Go ahead.
Well, you would think Craig Counsell's job would be on the line if they don't win the division, seeing as the team he left easily won the division last year.
By 10 games.
Over the Cubs with trading away their star players. They traded away their star players.
The Brewers have now lost this offseason alone. They lost Willie Adames to your Giants, their best offensive player, their shortstop.
Devin Williams for a
trade. They lost Devin Williams.
For Nestor the Molester Cortez, as he was called on national TV or on the Yankees broadcast.
Yeah, I don't think he can say that. Don't get canceled over that. So, but somehow the Brewers keep losing their players and they're just better than the Cubs every time. That just can't continue. If it does continue, my God, they need to blow everything up on the north side. So I'm just going to say by default, the Cubs are going to win this fucking division. They fucking better do it finally.
Well, we're going to differ on this one because I'm going with the horse. I'm riding the horse in with my 12-pack of Old Milwaukee on the back because the Brew Crew's doing it again.
Despite all logic. I mean,
that's right.
I can't argue with you. Baseball's fucking weird.
Bernie's going to be sliding down that chalet over and over and over again this season with somehow this team, which we won't even know. I'm not sure who's on it.
Name a Brewer.
Nestor Cortez, who I just did. I can name more farmer brewers than I can
Carson
brewers.
Yelich.
No, Contreras' brother, who's a beast.
William?
Yeah, William Contreras. He's a fucking beast. He's a legit star catcher.
They're going to win because they have a better catcher.
Yes, they are. They are. They're going to win for many reasons because they've got gumption. They've got that certain something that is a team united that I don't think the Cubs have.
They don't.
It's Consol's job. It's Consol's job to bring that team together. I'm going to tell you, my favorite Cubs manager, who I gave a lot of shit to, but when I went back and looked at it all, I warmed up to him greatly. Grandpa Rossi. They always look like a united.
You always loved him. What do you mean?
I thought it was a bit of a homer pick when they first did it, but I did. He constantly.
What's he doing right now, by the way?
Collecting, I think, probably another. Does he have another year on his paycheck or something? Maybe didn't they cut him before it was up or something?
Yeah,
but anyway, deal is that guy overachieved with the teams he had to work with.
Yeah.
Consol's been given, I would say the team is maybe a little improved over last year, I don't think it's 10 games improved over last year, like people are predicting, because of Kyle Tucker. I don't think that's gonna, and Presley. I don't think that's gonna push him over the edge. But whatever. But the Brewers are a team. They play like a team. I was there. I went to a game last year over spring break because I couldn't go to a game fucking here because the weather was so terrible. And you watch them play. Like there's like they're talking in the dugout. There's a lot of swagger there. I tell you, they got it. They are the team to beat in the NL Central. Okay. Bust out your brews and sip them down, baby. Milwaukee's doing it again.
I have to say, I agree that they're the biggest threat to the Cubs. I mean, you look at Pittsburgh, who refuses to be a major league franchise, despite having the best pitcher in baseball, besides Tarek Skubal and Paul Skeens, which is just sad that they refuse to build around him. We've got the Reds, who are interesting, and they add, young talent, and added Tito Francona as their manager, who I think is going to be a wild card there. I don't see them quite living up to it yet. I don't think they have the rotation necessary. But the Cardinals, like, they just added their first free agent or major league signing like last week. Like they've basically admitted they're punting on this season. It's like, what? Why? Like, what? Why would they do? They're a baseball organization. Why wouldn't you try to win at baseball? Like, why are they not doing anything? Like, there's something weird going on with the Cardinals, which I haven't dug too deep in to figure out why they're choosing to not bolster their roster. But maybe I'll look into that at some point. I kind of don't give a fuck, but they're taking a step back. So it's an awful division. There's just no reason why the Cubs shouldn't be dominating it. They have every advantage, and they just don't. So it has to happen this year. If it does not, like I said, if you're Brewers, take it over like they always do. That Jed Hoyer's fired. I think Craig Counsell's fired. Maybe they'll bring back Grandpa Rossi to take over again.
Will Tom Ricketts be fired?
He can't fire the owner, but maybe he'll finally get a fire lit under his ass to do something to make this team win again.
Well, I know that all too well, that you can't fire the owner.
You're in the middle of that nightmare.
for 3 fucking decades.
Yeah.
Maybe 4. Is it 4 decades? I don't know. Anyway.
Should we move to the West Coast? Do you want to start with the AL West?
Yeah, I'll go with the AL West. This one I was going back and forth on. I'm like, do I just do the darling pick, kind of like what I did with the Brewers? The Brewers seem to be the team that always somehow pulls it out. Or do I double down, because maybe I was just off by a year, and go with the Seattle Mariners? So,
oh my God, you fell for the trap again.
I fell for the Seattle Mariners again. I've
fallen for that trap for years.
I have fallen for the Mariners trap again, which is kind of like, it's kind of like this. It's kind of like, it's like always being the bridesmaid, but never being the bride. The old cliche phrase. It's like they've done enough to what looks like,
you'd think,
put a team together. They have a solid rotation. They have and I'm going to say solid because I'm not going to say great. They have a solid rotation and a solid offense. When you look at this division as a whole, should be more than enough with the pieces the Astros have lost, and the Angels are the Angels.
Yeah.
I can't even think of other teams. And then you got the Sacramento
Tetas.
A's, the Tete and the Tetas. So they should be able to win this division time in and time out.
Your logic is sound. And I've had that same logic for years with the Mariners, and it never works out. And the only thing I can think of, the only logical reason I can think of where they don't win this division consistently, is Seattle is so remote. They log more travel miles than any other major league team. And I wonder if that has some sort of effect on that franchise, because they just consistently cannot put it together despite their amount of talent. They just fade. They fade in September every year. So that's the only thing I can think of. And again, I'm not ripping on your pick at all. I would like to pick Seattle, and I have picked them for years. I'm out. I'm just out on Seattle because I've been burned so many times with them. So I took you take a hard look at this division. I think you can eliminate the Oakland A's, the West Sacramento A's from the division title. Although they're more interesting than you think potentially. We'll get to that in a little bit, but the Astros, like you said, have definitely taken a step back. They traded for Isaac Paredes to replace Bregman. They traded away Kyle Tucker for Cam Smith from the Cubs, he's probably going to be a starter, and that's going to be a bitter pill to swallow. Watching that might be a segment going forward this year, watching Cam Smith's stats versus Kyle Tucker's to see if the Cubs made a horrific move potentially. But yeah, the Astros I feel have taken a step back. I think you've underestimated the Texas Rangers, who were World Series champions 2 years ago. They were decimated by injuries last year. I think that team is just waiting to explode again. They spent up over $1 billion over the previous few years to build that roster, and just injuries took it apart last year. But they have proof of concept in that they did win the World Series 2 years ago. So I'm picking the Tetas Rangers to win the AL West.
You're just picking it because of the mistake on the hat. Just admit it.
I want that hat. I don't have $1,000 to buy it off eBay now, but I want that hat.
I mean, here's the problem with the Rangers though. Like,
they've got the best manager, Bruce Bochy, your boy.
I know, but they got like Jacob deGrom. Is he going to pitch?
Oh, I think he's going to have a great year.
Oh, you do? So did I last year, and it didn't happen. He gets injured every fucking year. He's not going to be
bouncing
healthy.
back.
It's not going to be healthy. He is not going to be healthy. He's going to injure himself somehow, unless he turns
four times in a row.
Maybe 4 innings. 4 innings. He give you a strong 4 innings.
Pull him in the 5th every game. I like it.
Did you talk about
works. They've got a good bullpen.
Did you talk about the?
Oh, we didn't even mention the anals.
The anals at all?
That's hilarious. I didn't even think about it. Yeah, we didn't even mention that. No, we don't need to mention the LA anals.
All right.
Yeah, they're a non-factor. So let's go over to the NL West, which is near and dear to your heart with your San Francisco Giants. And
I will not be picking the Giants. Teaser.
I think it's not much of a conversation, and in anywhere in the baseball world, anyone that picks anyone besides the LA Dodgers to win the division is just trying to get clicks. Maybe. It's just gross. It's just gross what the Dodgers have done. It's not gross. It's actually, I would love it if every team acted the way the Dodgers do. They built a fantastic system. They have financial resources that they exploit to the fullest. If the Cubs did that, we'd be talking about them as World Series perennial World Series champs, and we don't, because the owner chooses not to. So as pissed off as I am at the Dodgers, they are the perfect example of how a baseball franchise should act with the rules we have right now. It just sucks because they already got their World Series, and it was so much fun for years for us to just make fun of them for never getting over the top, despite all those advantages. Make fun of their asterisk World Series in 2020, 60-game World Series champions. It just sucks we don't even have that to lean on anymore. They did it, and they're going to continue to do it. It feels like they're going to continue to do it for years to come. I think there are interesting parts of the division, though, that despite being against the juggernaut of that is the Dodgers, I think there are still 3 wild card slots available, and it's going to be really interesting for your Giants, the Diamondbacks, the Padres. I think are an interesting team still. The Rockies are definitely, again, barely a major league team. But I think it's going to be an interesting race for second or for the wild card slots. Maybe in the coming out of the NLS. I don't know. We'll get to our wild card slot position here, but what do you have to say about the NL West?
Well, I agree with you. It's the Dodgers. I mean, if the Dodgers don't win the NL West, they maybe should just allow the team to be broken up and put everyone into a lottery and see who gets to pick each player and accept their contract at whatever terms the contract is at. Because they're ridiculous. Like we talked about earlier, they were missing two all-star players from their roster, and no one even noticed in these first two games of the season. So yeah, easily the Dodgers all the way. I think the Diamondbacks are probably the next most interesting team in that division. And like you said, we'll be talking more about that probably as we get into our wild card teams. My Giants, though, I think the Giants have signaled their direction. They have all of these key top prospects. I thought that were going to break with the team this spring training and have this young, fun team with all this young talent on it have all been sent to the minors, thus signaling to me that they know what this season is. They're not going to start their clock. They're not starting their clock on a season that is not going to amount to anything. And I think that's what's going on there. To complicate matters, they're doing some sort of renovations. I don't know if it's like restaurants and building some sort of area outside.
What's your ballpark called? Oracle
Park.
Oracle Park.
They're building some area like by McCovey Cove, and to help fund that, they've sold 10% of the team to a investment company, private equity place called 6th Street. So that's someone else they're going to be answering to now.
That's a disturbing thing. We talked about the previous episode how the Cubs have sold to minority part of their ownership is minority investors, private equity firms who are not interested in anything but profits every quarter. They're not interested in deficit spending.
Nope.
To build a champion, they want a profit every quarter. So that's a disturbing thing that's going on. We broke that down a few episodes ago, but now that you're hearing San Francisco's involved in that same scenario, is not encouraging.
Yeah. So they'll be third or fourth in that division. They won't have a playoff spot. The Padres, to me, are going to. I think they had their opportunity. It blew up in their face. And they're going to be the most interesting team at the trade deadline because they're going to have the most interesting pieces to trade off to push teams over the top that are top level talent because they haven't been able to pull it together. So I don't see them. And like you said, the Rockies are the Rockies. So it's a Dodgers division. It sucks. We also thought that probably 2 years ago, and the Giants won 100 or 3 years ago when they won 112 fucking games, but that's not going to happen. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Yeah. So, so Dodgers all the way. I think Diamondbacks are your second best team, and then everyone else is kind of meandering about.
Well, I think that leads to our wild card predictions quite nicely. Do you want me to start in the American League?
Mm-hmm.
I went a little bit crazy. I didn't start out crazy, but I ended up crazy, and mainly because I don't want our predictions to be the same. So I did start with the Yankees, despite their injuries. I think they're going to find a way to make the wild card. I got Cleveland because of that black magic they have. Whatever they do, that they're not going to win the division over the Tigers, but they will make the playoffs. And you will love my final wild card prediction.
Oh God,
the American League,
Chicago White Sox.
No, that would have been that's clickbait right there. There's nothing if I did that, but I'm going to take the Oakland A's to actually make the third wild card slot.
Homer.
I got two reasons. Well, 3 reasons. Homer for sure. My third adopted home.
Yeah, your third adopted home.
I did live there for 11 months, so it's legit. And I work within their organization right now. But the 2 baseball reasons is, number 1, baseball is fucking weird, and something weird always happens. But the thing that I don't think anyone's really thought of, or maybe people are considering, but they might have a crazy home field advantage when they get used to playing in the friendly confines of Sacramento, I don't even know what the Fisher Cats
Sure.
Stadium. Like it's such a unique venue that they're going to have more experience in than anyone that comes to visit them. It could be a huge home field advantage being in a 15,000 seat stadium. That's a variable that we've never seen before. I'm just curious how that affects things. They also have a talented young roster. They only won 69 games last year, but they weren't a dumpster fire. And you know firsthand, your fantasy championship team was anchored by Brent Rooker, who how many? I mean, 39 home runs, 100 something RBI. They've re-signed him to an extension. They also re-signed Lawrence Butler, their second best player. They signed a pitcher that I'm drawing a blank on from the Rays, who, when healthy, is great. But so I think the A's are going to sneak in there in that third wild card slot, and so I wanted to throw that in there as a fun wild card, but mainly because I knew you would not pick them, so we could not have the same three wild card teams picked.
Yeah, and we're not going to. We're gonna
Okay.
we're gonna share one, and that is obviously we know they do it every year. They find a way. It's the fucking Yankees. They're gonna be there.
Despite Garrett Cole, I'm not worried about Giancarlo Stanton because I don't know if they ever rely on him. If he's there,
No,
it's a bonus. But
and when he's there, he produces, and he's good enough for shit. He was on my team. I think he was on my team last year, and he got me like around 30 homers. When he was healthy. So um, there's enough there for them to make a playoff spot. I'm also going to stay in the AL East and go with the Orioles.
oh wow, okay.
I still think they're good enough to. I think that we all forget their team was young last year and did very well. So they're going to be another year older, another year seasoned, and I think they're going to be another year a little bit better. So I have them going to the playoffs, and then I'm going back to the AL Central, and I'm going with the KC Royals.
Oh wow,
I think
okay.
they got enough to make it into the playoffs again. Not saying they're going to do much after that, but Bobby Witt Jr. is the real deal.
He got hit on his hand last week, and like the whole. Oh, I think it was a writ on his forearm.
Maybe forearm. I think it was forearm. Yeah.
And the whole world panicked. And he like put out a tweet like saying it's all good, like the next morning or something. So X-rays were negative. So, but imagine one injury to him like that shifts everything for that team. But with him, my goodness, that dude is ridiculous. So.
Yeah, and you're right. Like I said, because when you look at their batting order after you get around 5, like I know that's the bottom of the order, but like you can't be that top heavy, and not have a little bit of consistency through that bottom half, which they don't have on paper. Maybe guys will produce. You never know. So
they got to the playoffs with that path last year. So they can do it again.
Royals, Yankees, Orioles for me for the AL playoffs.
Well, we can move over to the NL wild card.
Yeah.
Do you want me to go first?
I'll go first since you went first for the AL.
Go ahead.
I'm going with I'm all about the East this year. So it's Braves Phillies. The Braves are still, you wonder about their injury bug. It's ridiculous. I've never seen a team with so much talent have not. It's one thing to have injuries, but they have all their key players are the ones who get injured.
Yeah,
it's never like a second, a role player who gets injured or anything like that. It's always their like fucking top shelf guys.
Yeah,
but I think,
or
right,
pitcher, whoever.
Exactly. But your pick.
They lost Max Fried to the Yankees.
That
makes me nervous with them, but sorry.
Well, yeah, no, I know. I think they got enough to make the playoffs, and the Phillies, obviously, you picked them to win the division.
Yes,
so,
we're in alignment.
And there always seems to be, for some reason, consistently over the last few years, there always seems to be 3 teams in the playoffs or it's either 3 teams of the NL East or 3 teams from the NL West who make the playoffs. So I'm going with the NL East. And then no surprise here, the Diamondbacks are my third team.
Yeah.
I think they're They've done legit moves. They're solid, top to bottom. They're all
They should be healthy. Corbin, what's his name?
Burns.
They're no.
Oh,
Well, they
I
got
mean
Corbin
Corbin.
Burns.
Uh,
Yeah, they signed him in the offseason, but they're young guy, offensive
yeah,
player. Or
yeah.
what's
I know who you're
God
talking
damn it.
about.
This is late in the podcast. This is what happens to old dudes.
Beers
Yeah.
late in the podcast.
But yeah, I think they're going to be healthy. I agree with that.
Yeah, so I think they've got what it takes to be in the playoffs. They probably have what it takes to win the division, but they're in the fucking Dodgers.
Yeah.
They got the
Yeah,
Dodgers ahead of them,
it's in a
and
different league.
it just is not it's not going to happen. So so that's my picks.
Well, I too have the Diamondbacks for those same reasons, winning a wild card slot. You're not going to believe this, but I have your San Francisco Giants joining them in the wild card.
Wow.
Despite all logic, they have Justin Verlander. They signed JV, and he's looking great. He can stay healthy. Your rotation is very interesting. You signed Willie Adames this offseason. So yeah, from my naive from afar opinion of your Giants is they're going to be better than you even think. So that probably threw you for a loop. But
I'm
are you okay?
No, I think I thought it was did you just pick the Giants? Because I'm not sure if it's that or my beer that is talking to
I
me.
picked the Giants, yes.
All right.
Well, if you thought I was drunk with that pick, you're going to be blown away by my final wild card slot.
Rockies?
I'm going to pick the Washington Nationals to come from out of nowhere.
Okay.
To win a wild card slot. I think they're going to surprise some people. Mainly back to, several reasons. Mainly, I didn't want to have the same picks as you, so I was going to go outrageous with my wild card picks. And the other reason is baseball is fucking weird. Teams come from out of nowhere, and they have some talent, some young talent coming on up that I'll get to shortly here, but that could propel them to the wild card slot. So I basically made some of those outlandish picks to guarantee we will not have the same picks as we typically. I think we've had 10 out of 12 same picks in previous years. So I think we're getting back close to 50-50. So that leaves us with our World Series prediction. We can't predict every fucking division, championship series, whatever, wild card rounds. That's boring. Let's just go with our World Series predictions. What do you have? Who do you have in the World Series for 2025?
I have the unfortunate pick of the Los Angeles Dodgers going back and playing the Boston Red Sox.
Oh,
with the Dodgers winning in a straight game sweep.
Oh wow, 4-game sweep. Okay,
yeah,
that's bold because I think everyone's going to have the Dodgers in the World Series. Maybe not the Red Sox. I think a lot are going to have the Red Sox, but yeah, that's a bold 4-game sweep prediction. I am also going to have the Boston Red Sox in the World Series versus the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Woo!
Because once you get in the fucking playoffs, all bets are off, as we've seen happen to the Dodgers on many occasions. They had the best team on paper for years and had only gotten it done last year and in a shortened 60-game season in 2020. So just for randomness, I'm going to throw the Diamondbacks in there. And I'm going to have the Boston Red Sox winning the World Series in, I'm going to say 6. No, I think I said 5 games. I wrote down 5 games. So,
I mean, the fact that you and I both have the Red Sox in the World Series is fucking ridiculous.
It's too close. It's that bummed me out that we're that close on that, but I do have them winning. I do not even have the Dodgers in the World Series. Just out of spite. I just don't want to make that prediction. You're right. You're going to be right, but I don't want to have.
Oh, I'm going to be right 100%. This is it. I'm putting this all down and I'm going to the sportsbook app and I'm doing it.
Well, we can get to our MVP, Cy Young, and Rookie of the Year predictions, and that might reveal like why I made some of my choices. I'm going to start with the AL MVP. It's going to be Alex Bregman, just to piss me off that the Tigers made the most money offer, the highest money offer to Bregman, and he rejected it, $171 million. Just push that away. The Cubs could have easily matched whatever Boston was going to offer and just chose to put in the lowest offer of the teams that were suiting him.
They had to beg for that money. Remember, Jed had to beg for that
Jed
from
had to
the
beg
owner.
for it. Yeah, hat
Beg
in
for
hand,
it.
please, sir, can I have some more money to get Alex Bregman and help us win a world championship?
More points.
No!
More points, please.
So, of course, Alex Bregman's going to win the fucking MVP because he would have been perfect on the Tigers or the Cubs. I talked about how it's probably a blessing in disguise for the Tigers not to get him, but the Cubs could have used him. And you already brought up their issues at third base that have come to fruition in the first 2 games at least.
And once you have 2 games, it's the whole measuring stick for the season.
Yes. Other than cosmic bad karma, think about Alex Bregman and the Green Monster. Ugh. He is just going to pummel that thing.
Yeah.
As he used the short porch in Houston. Yeah. He pummeled the short porch in Houston in left field in a similar way. He's going to have a monster year. So beyond the cosmic bullshit I'm bringing up, I think there's logic in it. I think he's going to have a fantastic year in Boston. I think he's going to be the fucking MVP and help take him to a world championship.
Well, I enjoy your woe is me, Bregman MVP in my face. I'm a Cubs fan and everything that can go wrong goes wrong. Well, talk to me when you lose 125 fucking games or whatever the fuck it was last year.
Oh my God.
Yeah, talk to me then. But anyway, speaking of the AL Central, I'm going with the guy I already talked about a lot. Bobby Witt Jr. is winning the AL MVP. He's a 5-tool guy. He's going to show off all those tools this year, and he's going to win.
He's going to be the number 1 pick in our AL. I mean, he's going to be we do an AL only fantasy league.
Yeah,
he's going to be the number 1 pick.
I mean, if he falls to me, the champ,
you're getting him.
the repeat like the Dodgers is going to do it.
That should be your team name. Repeat, spelled wrong.
Repeats.
Yeah.
Anyway,
sorry.
Bobby Witt Jr. all the way, AL MVP. Suck it, Smitty.
Who do you got for NL MVP?
It's a layup. It's Shohei Ohtani. Not only is he going to probably hit the shit out of the ball again this year, I mean, we know he doesn't even have to hit the ball over the wall to get a home run. They still count. But he's going to be pitching.
Yeah, they'll just make it count.
They'll make it count. He's going to be pitching too. I mean, outside of an injury that closes his season down, because we have yet to see that recently. Like, he's had the injury that's stopped him from pitching, but has allowed him to still be a DH. And with the DH in the NL now, I just don't see it's the easy pick, but I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be again. I mean, maybe Juan Soto, but Juan Soto's not going to do what Ohtani does. And he's not that great at a defender, to be honest. But we know offense is what usually wins this anyway, but for the most part. But yeah, I think Ohtani all the way.
Well, like you said, I mean, if he's healthy, he can put together a resume that no one ever has. And he did that, was it 3 years ago? With the Angels, where he's one of the best pitchers and one of the best hitters. Like, it's a no-brainer. But I'm going to say he's not going to stay healthy throughout this year and will not win the MVP.
I used that logic one year and it bit me, by the way. But go ahead.
Yeah. I used it 2 years ago and won the league. So yeah, it ended up. But that's the thing. When they put that much strain on a guy doing both jobs, he might break down. That's the risk. So that's what I'm banking on. But my NL MVP is purely to piss you off. I'm going to pick Kyle Tucker to win the NL MVP. He is in the American League, he's a top 5 offensive player and a solid Gold Glove Award winner in the outfield. I think he will help lead the Cubs to their division title, their much needed division title. And then he'll fade off into the sunset as the Cubs will refuse to pay him $500 million like he's going to demand after he wins MVP. But at least he will have helped them into the playoffs and the division title and hopefully deeper. But that's my pick for NL MVP. I'm going to switch over to AL Cy Young.
This is easy.
I think it's Garrett Crochet.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
This is part of how we both have the Red Sox in the World Series. I've got them with the MVP and Cy Young Award winner. Garrett Crochet just announced his presence last year. In the first time he was ever put together a full season, even though he was on limited, he was still limited. But you could see what his full potential would be, and it is along the lines of Tarek Skubal. I feel like they kind of mirrored each other in many ways. Just Skubal put up bigger numbers because he put up more innings. So I think we were only seeing the beginning of Crochet's dominance, and I feel like it's just gonna the cosmic part of all this is just gonna piss off White Sox fans even more, like seeing how they had him and couldn't put anything together with him and on their roster. So that's why I'm picking Crochet. It sounds like you've got the same pick.
Yeah, I've got the same pick, and again, I mean, we'll see what happens with the guys they got, you know, for Crochet. But I also think the ear for White Sox fans is he's probably the one guy you're kind of like, why don't you keep him and build around him? Why don't you give him some money and build around him?
You could you could say the same thing with Luis Robert right now. He's
Yeah, I
under
mean,
tremendous
maybe.
trade rumors.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, well, I guess they both have had one good season, one really all-star type seasons each. So I guess it's the same argument. You're right. You're right. But I don't know. Like it's yeah, that's the part that's gonna burn a little. As always, like Chris Sale left and won the World Series, and it
Won
looks
the Cy
like
Young last year.
I won the Cy Young last year, and it looks like
Jesus.
Garrett Crochet's in line for similar awards. So good for him, though. I always he's a good dude. He seems like a good
I'm gonna be
dude.
rooting for him. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, so I'm rooting for him.
Well, I think we're also going to have the exact same pick for NL Cy Young. If anyone else picks anyone besides Paul Skeens, I'm not sure where they're going. Maybe I'm wrong, but
You are wrong.
okay, that's cool. I mean, you could see his dominance. He's different. He's just different. I mean, what he has, if he can stay healthy, that's always a caveat, especially with when we're talking Cy Young. But if he's healthy, he can put together a season we may have never seen before. So unfortunately, he's doing it for a team that refuses to compete. He'll carry them to 70 wins at best, maybe. But yeah, I think what we've seen from Paul Skeens, if he puts together a whole season, it's a clear Cy Young Award winner.
So I feel like that is going to hurt him a little bit, being in non-competitive games as a measuring
Oh,
stick. So
okay.
I'm going to go with someone who I like, and he's no longer on the Giants this year. He's moved over to the Dodgers, but I'm doubling down, and I'm going to go Blake Snell is going to win the
Ooh,
NL Cy Young.
his third Cy Young?
He's going to win his third Cy Young
Oh my
and
God.
pitch
With a third team.
lights out for a team that doesn't need anyone else to pitch lights out, but
Jeez.
will exactly do that.
Oh
So,
my God.
yeah,
That would be
Blake Snell,
amazing. Because
baby.
it's funny because I don't think Blake Snell is even that great, but he's got two Cy Youngs. He never gets out of the sixth inning, but he's already got
But
two, and
well,
I could see why he would get his third Cy Young.
he pitched a fucking perfect game last year, or a no hitter, right? Or was it a perfect game?
Uh, who has it? I
He
mean,
went
I don't think he
nine
had a perfect
innings.
game.
He went nine
Yeah,
innings, so that's out of the sixth.
he finally went nines.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a whole
So,
segment about that. What an anomaly that was, but no, I like that. That's fun.
all right.
I the we end this with our rookies of the year prediction, which is like the hardest, just because it's
Although
hard to even know who's.
I think I was right last year. At least
I
one
don't
out of
even
the
know who
two.
won it last year. You can see why I'm going with the Red Sox to win the World Series because not only do I have them with the MVP, the Cy Young Award winner, I also have them with the Rookie of the Year in Roman Anthony, which has to be the most Italian name possible. You can't even create a more Italian name than Roman Anthony. Uh, One of the triumvirate of prospects that you mentioned earlier that the Red Sox are going to be leaning on or potentially pulling up this for this season. I think he's going to be another catalyst for why they will win the World Series, and he will win Rookie of the Year.
I'm gonna go with a little second baseman on the Orioles known as Jackson Holiday. I think
Good call.
he's
Top
gonna
prospect.
come out a lot better than his 2 for 34 with 18 strikeouts that he started out last year with, and then immediately got sent down. But he was much better when he came back up in the play he did, and I think again another year older with this young Orioles team taking probably another step forward this year. So Jackson Holliday is my AL Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, and he came up at the end of last season, but he's still got rookie eligibility. So yeah, I think that's a very solid pick. Should we transition over to the NL Rookie of the Year? Do you want to go first?
Well,
okay.
I'm torn.
Go ahead.
I'll go first. I'm torn here. So I got two options. It's between Dodger, obviously the Dodgers pitcher,
I gotta have somebody.
Sasaki, right?
Yeah.
But I also
he looked okay today. He wasn't. I mean, it's his first major league start, so but it was in Tokyo. But he looked solid. He looked as advertised. I'm not sure he's a world beater necessarily, but
yeah, we'll see. So I got that, but then I'm like, look at Dylan Cruz of the Nationals. He's like a legit beast. I think he's gonna be a beast this year. So I'm like going back and forth. I think I got to go Dylan Cruz Nationals on this one.
Oh my God. We have ended this show with the same Rookie of the Year pick for the National League. Dylan
So we ended it how we started it.
I tried to create, I was literally just doing everything I could to make sure we didn't have the same picks. And I think we're going to end up with many of the same picks when I write this all down again. But Dylan Cruz, he might not be a household name, but I think he will by the end of this season. Outfielder for the Washington Nationals. Part of the reason why I picked them to slide into the final wild card slot. He's a dynamic player that is going to be fun to watch, a reason to watch Nationals games, which there's been no reason for at least 5 years now. But good pick. We got the same fucking NL Rookie of the Year, Dylan Cruz.
Well,
it's a cool name too. It just sounds like a baseball. Yeah, it just sounds like a good baseball player name. Like Dylan Cruz, he's got to be a player. I mean, he's good. So I think that's it. We have no more predictions to make, do we?
No, I hope not.
Oh my God. Yeah.
We haven't done an episode
you look exhausted.
like this. We have not done an episode like this in a long time.
Every time we plan these, I forget how long these shows go because we're talking about all 30 teams essentially, at least briefly. So we already had a long fucking aesthetic segment. So yeah, we're going to cut out quite a bit of this as we're over the 2-hour running clock right now.
It's really 2 episodes. This is a double episode, really.
Yeah. So I'm glad we knocked this out, even though the season has already started and may have tainted our views of those 2 games in Tokyo. I had to get this out before the season actually starts next Thursday. So yeah, that was fun. As always, Nostradamus will recount how those all come out. And I think you'll be hopeful some of mine came true, and with the Giants at least. So we'll be breathlessly.
I mean, shit. If you're right, I thank you.
If I'm right about that and the A's, like West Coast, we'll be tuning into a lot of West Coast baseball this season. So that was another reason I made those picks. I want to be interested in shit across the league. So I think with that, we can wrap up this marathon episode. I believe this is episode 160 overall. So unless you had anything else you wanted to add over there.
I got nothing to add. I forgot nothing. I put it all out on the table.
You remembered shit during the show. That was great.
Yeah, I can't. Literally, that White Sox conversation about the City Connect 2.0 triggered the Fanatics taking over the team.
Yes.
Teamster.
Yeah. It's like you're almost a professional in this shit. So
I'm a fucking professional over here, all right?
So you
wait. I forgot something. Yeah, let's do this one more time. How's everyone doing out there? Yeah, it's not working. Now it's not working.
That's a visual gag that you've been doing throughout this on the podcast. You probably have no idea.
I don't know why it's
doing.
not working, but we like to party, and the lasers are not working anymore. Well,
your artificial intelligent phone would like when you throw the devil horns and start putting out lasers.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Here's a thumbs up for you. There's a thumbs
you got
up.
the thumbs up at least, but So everyone watching the video, if you watched 2 hours into this video and are seeing this, my
Thumbs
goodness,
down.
thank you. Let us know if you see this. Send us a note. We'll send you a t-shirt or something if you watch this deep into this episode. So I think with that, we will wrap up this episode 160. You can find us on the web at majorleagueaholes.com. You can find us at YouTube at youtube.com/majorleagueaholes. You can find us all across social media at Major League A-Holes, and you can find this podcast anywhere you'd like to find a podcast. So with that, I will declare this podcast is over. Peace.
Peace.
Wordhole Media.